Hey guys! So today you and I are going to talk about seniors. So let's get into it. So the question in question was posted on a video I made, which is called "How do I know when to trust a senior dev?" And basically the question was, Frederick, I'm not sure if this was answered in the video, but are there key red flags indicating that a senior is not that good? Because basically in that little video there was a bit of a story related to what happens in a company if you have a bad senior who, well, we couldn't really establish if it was a bad senior or not, but it's very likely that it was. And the short version of what happens when that happens is that the senior, if they have the ear of the product owners, or like they have technical decision authorities and so forth, they will grind the project down to an absolute snail's pace, and they can mean the difference between a successful project and a really shitty one, in essence. Because the problem is, when you have a bad senior, as I like to say, is that the impact is larger than if you have a bad junior. A bad junior has very small impact on the overall work, but a bad senior who's in control of a project has the same effect. You have no idea. I'm starting to make a career from this at this point, where I get moved to projects, at least in my last role, where this has happened, where like they hire someone who clearly isn't capable of running the team or running the show, or like even though they're supposed to be seniors, they can't actually deliver the results that the company wants. So they pull me in, and then I go and fix it. And that's why I tell people there's a difference between developers and developers. It doesn't matter. Senior is like a nothing term. What matters is, do you have the right person who can deal with this? Because anybody can claim to be a senior. So the question is, all right, what are the red flags? It's actually very simple. It's very, very difficult to figure out if you have a bad senior if you don't have a good one. If you don't have someone who actually knows how to get results. Because in the interviewing stage, there is no way for a non-technical person to figure out if you have a bad senior or not. Because you lack the experience to ask the right questions and to listen to the answers and hear whether or not they actually are correct, or if they make sense. This is not even pass-fail type of things, guys. Because the problem with a senior is that a senior will have enough experience to use the correct lingo. In many cases, they will have a mannerism that will make you feel as if they know what they're talking about. Just how a politician who might be actually doesn't know fuck all about anything, they get media training so that they can speak as if they know what's going on. But you see, these people also are very good at sidestepping very direct questions by people who are better informed, and they do so because they can't actually answer the questions. Seniors do exactly the same thing, because you get talent for this thing. You get the ability to direct away things that you don't really know, so you can maintain that air of professionalism and expertise and so forth. So in an interviewing process, you're basically fucked if you don't have someone who is really good at what they do. And that's I have many videos on how to sort of structure, like it depends on the company you deal with and so forth, but it's a bit of a catch-22. You need a trustworthy senior who can actually has proven to be able to deliver really well to be part of the recruitment process. Without that, there's no way for you to tell at the recruitment stage. But once you have them in the company, it becomes a little bit better or simpler. So the key things that you are looking for is, number one, results are almost always fairly slow and usually of a poor quality. It's not really like the overall attitude from the senior is a little bit lethargic, or like they're not really, they don't have any energy, interest, or whatever, and they never really produce there's always issues with something, or everything is a bit slow to get going, and this is my favorite one, there are no easy solutions to anything. Everything has a technical limitation. Like basically, they will, whatever you want, whatever idea you have, they won't actually present you with simple solutions to your problems and sort of explain how to do these sort of things. What they will do is that they will also often become the blocker in the conversation and never really give you strong reasons as to why that is. So what I'm basically saying is that if you're dealing with a senior who says that everything is a problem, or and even when they do produce something, it's usually the case that it has issues, so they have to go and revisit it multiple times, or like you have quite a lot of bugs coming into the system, and more time gets to be spent on those bugs as opposed to actually shipping new features. I like to say 80-20 rule. If you have 80% bugs and 20% feature shipping versus 80% shipping things and 20% like actual bug fixing and things like that, the ratio is off. You're dealing with a person who doesn't really know how to set up a structured work process that's going to work long term. Now, there's always going to be bugs, there's always going to be delays and issues, but I'm saying that if you get a pattern, say you see a pattern to that this person usually keeps on taking quite a lot of time, it's usually not like you usually don't get the feature requirements right on the first couple of tries. It's always a bit of a slow pace going on, and this person never really has any simple solutions for anything. Everything is, as I said, always a problem. These are the red warning flags, because the reality is that a real senior, like the really good ones, they usually make things fairly simple and possible. That's sort of the thing that you're paying them for, because if you're going to have someone who's going to produce something, it's not going to be super quality, it's not always going to be as simple as you would like it to be, then you might as well hire a junior or a mid-level that can actually produce the application, because you're still going to get as shitty of results as the senior. It's just that the senior has a bunch of years of their on their CV, which is, as I've said many times before, guys, that doesn't mean shit. It does not mean shit whatsoever, because the industry is structured in such a way that a lot of projects, guys, you can have people on that project, and these companies, they spend tons and tons and tons of money on projects that never go anywhere. They're just money pits that keeps on sucking up all the revenue, and in many cases they're shit projects that might do something arbitrary, and these people who are working on them, they may not actually be all that talented. It's just that they filled the requirements for that role, even though they're like actually not that good, and they can maintain that job because the stakes are so low on those projects. And you might have tons of these people coming into your pipeline and then getting into your to your company and so forth. So the thing that you should focus on is not how many years does this person have on the CV. That's just an indicator. You are looking for results. So if you have a senior who's not really producing those results, then get rid of this person, because usually they cost a lot more. And in many cases, if you see the same sort of issues as you have with the junior level or mid-level or something like that, the juniors are a little bit special because they're usually very nervous, but the mid-levels at the very least, then you might as well just sort of accept the fact that right now we don't really have someone who can do this better, but at the very least we can save on some of the expenses, and in the future you might be able to find a senior who really knows their shit. Because as I said, the real seniors, the people who really know what they are doing, they usually don't have a lot of issues shipping things, because guys, code is not magic. It's not something that is impossible to make simple and so forth, because talented people, as I've said, that's the difference between them and the really shitty ones. The shitty ones, everything is always a problem. Practically everything has like quality issues or something similar to that. The really good ones, things just usually work. They will have bugs for sure, but on average you don't get a lot of frustration from having them do something. They will simply produce what is requested without much fuss. So what I want you to take away from this is that the warning flags that you're usually looking for when a senior is not actually all that good, it really is down to performance. What level of quality do they have, and sort of like, is everything a problem with them? Are they usually saying, like, promoting that things are difficult to make, or things can't be done in a certain way, etc., without giving a lot of backing as to why? Usually they're very fluffy in their answers and so forth. It really comes down to they don't really actually know. There might be tons of ways of solving something, but they don't know how to do this. And that is a very common thing that happens. And so a lot of companies stare themselves blind on the years that this individual has. But as I like to say, what does it matter how many years they have if they can't produce the results? Then they're just an overpaid mid-level or an overpaid junior in some cases. Tons of people who do this mistake where like they hire a 20 years back-end developer for a front-end position. That fucker can't do anything in front-end. And so why would you have them there? Because the results are not there. That's the thing that you're looking for, the results. And the real seniors, the ones that are really good, they're usually it's very undramatic when you work with such an individual, because usually you give them a specification or you tell them what you need to be done, and they will usually make it happen, because most things in IT, unless it's something really complicated, are not that difficult for someone who really knows their shit to do. It's usually the people who have no skill who have all the issues. Have a great day.